then you give me a call and I'll go back and check on them again. Alright then, I love you too, man. Alright, make sure you call me before you do anything, man. If things ain't going right, call me up so I can go right back over there and talk to them until we can get this straightened out, alright? Alright then, I love you too. Peace out.
So, we have real people getting really killed in Chicago and in all the cities. And I realize this is, in a way, entertainment and interesting, but these situations, when Joe isn't there, or Fonz isn't there, Carl isn't there, these guys aren't there, someone gets killed. These guys are there, it gets cooled down. These guys have the interrupters, of which there's about 35, have interrupted about 1,400 events with a gun that we have documented. It's not just anybody who's selected and recruited and trained who does this. These guys are professional workers, like immunization workers or AIDS education outreach workers. These guys are professional, epidemiologic, disease control workers. There's another cadre of worker. Whenever you do disease control, you design and invent new categories of worker called outreach workers. Outreach workers, which we also had in the AIDS epidemic, and which I also used in TB work. We've also used in all kinds of refugee work. Outreach workers also hired from the same population, interrupt conflicts, but they also carry what we call clients or participants, who are, in a way, the most infectious people, and spend long-term time transforming their thinking from this is the kind of life to this is the kind of life. And these people are working with the highest risk guys, the guys who are carrying the guns, the guys who have spent time, the guys who have done violent offenses. That's the focus of their work. And additionally, we obviously won't have time to go through this, but there is processes, systems, structures for doing the norm change, which involve multiple messengers, in particular, the most credible messengers you can find. The most credible messengers are the ones who have access, who can shift the minds. We got a call from a mom whose son is downstairs loading up weapons with his friends to go out and do something. Mom is never going to call the police on her son. Same thing with the friends, all the other friends. Our job is to prevent these things from happening, and we need the most credible people, very, very highly selected, for their Rolodex, for their being on this side of the line now, and for their absolute hunger to help transform others. And it's their job, along with these other pieces that I'll show you quickly, which transforms a norm. Here is what we call a response, a community response. Every single shooting in a CeaseFire zone, the community is mobilized to come out in dozens or hundreds, saying this is a big deal. Previously, no one said a thing, and the idea, the thought was nobody cares and no one's doing anything. This will never change. These people come out and they say that we don't want this here anymore. And frequently, a lot of the guys who are involved are hanging around on the outskirts. It gives us a chance to talk with them more. We got the clergy involved with specific roles, specific training, just a number of the multiple messengers, and then just like any behavior change work, you have to actually roll it into a campaign. It's like breastfeed. Immunize your children, drink Coke, and just right there. And when we come out with these in a neighborhood, people say thank you. Everybody, including those who are doing it. They say, don't tell me about this, don't tell me about the drugs, but we all agree on that. In that way, this is an easier issue than sexual behavior. Results with this method, but this is the scattering of areas where conflicts have been mediated. Here's a first-year result compared to Chicago as a whole. This now has undergone 4 universities studying it outside of our own work. This data shows 3 different sets of comparisons with an average of just under a 45% drop in shootings and killings. This isn't about bullying, this isn't about fights, this is lethal events. These are shootings and killings. This is the reduction in Chicago's rate as compared to other cities since the CeaseFire intervention was started. This is what we call hotspot analysis, density of shootings, before and after Southside neighborhood off Gresham. Very famous Southside neighborhood, Englewood. Far north side, cooling down. Statistically, significantly larger changes than controls. There's been a U.S. Department of Justice study, 3-year study, 4 universities, has now stamped this as evidence-based practice. Not something the U.S. Department of Justice is used to looking at, which are other types of matters. And so it's been demonstrated now to reduce shootings and killings, to prevent retaliation murders. 5 of 8 neighborhoods, it was 100% on reducing retaliation murders, which are the greatest predictor of a repeat of a murder, making hotspots cooler and neighborhoods safer. This has now been repeated 16 times. We're working now besides Chicago, with startup programs in Newark and Baltimore. We're in a planning mode with New York and in Oakland, a few other places, and a couple other countries that I won't have time to talk about. So the intervention is proven now, and it's at a very, very low level of implementation. It's kind of where oral rehydration therapy was when it just came out of the smallpox lab, the cholera labs. So I just leave you with the question, what if we were able to blow this out, work with it to scale in the cities and other situations? Is it possible, using this method and perhaps with other accompanying things, to get violence into the past as a piece of history, with the reminder that most of the other epidemics, which were with man forever, were never imagined to be able to go into the past? Can we leave violence in the situation where there's something really small sitting in a CDC lab on its own? Thank you very much.
Can we? Really? I know we've all been trying for years and years to do that. We're going to try to do that in Columbus. And I don't know if we'll find out next week or two. We're able to secure. This is all funded by the Department of Justice, right? Most cities. Is that true? Multiple? We already have others here in Columbus. That's the proposal, to essentially replicate the Chicago model.
We're going to identify people with that background. We're actually going to Chicago next week. Next week. There's a continuing on from there. It hasn't been actually approved, but it continues on from there. Then they'll come down here and we'll do the process.
Could you talk a little bit about the interrupters, or these folks who currently live in the neighborhood, willing to live in the neighborhood? What's kind of their background, qualifications? What's that training?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.